This is your weekly report on corruption in the Philippine government. A group composed of religious leaders and retired military personnel has filed a complaint against Commission on Elections Chair Jorge Erwin Garcia over an unauthorized and illegal code switching in the automated system used in the 12th of May polls. They also questioned the setup of an intermediary data server that received and processed election results coming from the voting precincts before they could reach the accredited poll watchdogs and media groups. The complaint, filed at the National Bureau of Investigation on Thursday, said the source code installed in the automated counting machine used during the elections was different from the one reviewed in the final automated election system source code review report. They said that based on the final AES report issued on the 30th of April, the ACMs were installed with software version 3.4.0. However, during the final testing and sealing of the ACMs later on the 6th of May, version 3.5.0 was installed in the machines instead. No other entity other than the Commission has access to the ACMs or the source code for the 12th of May, 2025, national and local elections. Therefore, it could only be the Commission that can commit the switching of the software, the complaint said. In a chance interview on Thursday, Garcia said the COMELEC had already answered the issues raised. "We are not afraid and we are ready to present ourselves, give documents to whoever will be in charge of the investigation," the COMELEC chief said. The complainants were composed of representatives of the groups under the Alianza ng Nagkakaisang Mamamayan and the Church Leaders Council for National Transformation. They include Bishops Colin Bagaforo, Jerry Alminaza, Ephraim Tindero, Roberto Gaa, as well as retired generals Generoso Senga, Wilfredo Franco, Alejandro Camagay, and Eliseo Rio. Also joining them are Baguio City Mayor Benjamin Magalong and former COMELEC Commissioner Augusto Lagman. Garcia maintained that software version 3.5.0 was the code used in the ACMs, and argued the COMELEC had already received a certification from the Technical Evaluation Committee regarding the system and hardware that were used. The complainants also alleged that the COMELEC installed an intermediary server called Data Center 3, which received, consolidated and processed election results from precincts before they could be received by the media and election watchdogs. They said Data Center 3 was created to house the transparency servers used by the Parish Pastoral Council for Responsible Voting, the National Citizens Movement for Free Elections, and the media, as well as the majority and minority servers. As a result of the unauthorized and illegal code switching and the installation of Data Center 3, only the central server of the Commission received transmissions from the ACMs upon the closing of the polling precincts, the complainants said. But Garcia explained that while Data Center 3 housed the servers, there was no such intermediary server. The PPCRV, as well as the minority and majority parties, have their own program that can clean the votes to show its exact number. There are already a lot of agencies, organizations, coalitions and many groups who said that the elections were organized and can be trusted, such as the European Union, ANFREL, Asian Network for Free Elections, and our PPCRV 99.999009% accuracy is what they are saying, he stressed. The complainants accused the COMELEC of violating the Cybercrime Prevention Act and the Election Automation Law. In all, they said, there were 55 million counts of system of interference committed by the COMELEC, corresponding to the number of unlawfully processed votes. Any instance of vote tampering constitutes fraud and must be unequivocally condemned. They said this becomes all the more apparent and pressing when such tampering occurs on a national scale. The Office of the Ombudsman has ordered the filing of graft and falsification complaints against former Education Secretary Leonor Briones and others in connection with the 2.4 billion pesos worth of outdated laptops procured for public school teachers in 2021. In a 106-page resolution dated the 4th of July, the Ombudsman said that the same charges should also be lodged against Department of Budget and Management Chief Lloyd Christopher Leo, a private respondent, Froilan Domingo, and the following officials: Deputy Undersecretary Annalyn Macam Sevilla, Deputy Undersecretary Alan Del Bustamante Pascua, Deputy Assistant Secretary Salvador Caucasian Milana III, Deputy Director for Abraham Yapchaya Banal, Deputy Director for Marcelo Brigado, Deputy Undersecretary Alex Erquina Ladanga, Deputy Supervising Administrative Officer Selwyn Carrillo Briones, PSDBM Director for and Officer in charged Jason Malagato Huayan PSDBM Procurement Management Officer 4 Ulysses Evangelista Mora PSDBM Procurement Management Officer 1 Marwan Amal PSDBM Procurement Management Officer 5 Paul Armando Bando Estrada. The Ombudsman also ordered the filing of a perjury case against Leo, Cecilia, and Huayan and dismissed the perjury charges against Pascua and Milana. In 2022, the Commission on Audit flagged the DepEd for buying 2.4 billion pesos worth of reportedly outdated and pricey laptops for teachers, in line with the implementation of distance learning amid the COVID-19 pandemic. In the same year, the Senate Blue Ribbon Committee, which was headed by then former Senator Francis Tolentino, conducted an inquiry on the issue. The probe concluded on its fifth round of discussions. The president of the Sangguniang Kabataan Federation in Ageo Town, southern Cebu province, was arrested after fatally shooting his love rival inside a restaurant on Friday night. The suspect was identified as Mark Alphonsus Villamora and as president of the SK Federation, sits as an ex officio member of the municipal council. The victim, Elmer Angelo Amarillo, died on the spot with multiple bullet wounds in the head and body. Police Major Janice Jayangan, chief of the Ageo police station, said love triangle was the motive of the crime. The two men were romantically linked to the same woman. Jayangan said the suspect got the victim's girlfriend pregnant. Though he was not the father of the child, Amarillo still opted to stay with the woman, irking the suspect. Jayangan said the two men crossed paths in a resto bar past 11 p.m. The two got into a fight and at the height of the argument, the suspect drew a 9mm caliber pistol and shot the victim. The Ageo Municipal Disaster Risk Reduction and Management Office took Amarillo to a hospital where he was declared dead. The suspect was arrested by responding police officers. At least 9 spent shells for a 9mm caliber pistol were recovered in the crime scene. Police said Villamora has a license to own and possess firearms, but he did not have a permit to carry a firearm outside his residence. Police said a murder charge will be filed against the suspect detained at the Ageo police station. A 28-year-old policewoman died after she accidentally shot herself with her service firearm inside the barracks of the Mataneo Municipal Police Station in Davao del Sur. Officials from the Davao del Sur Provincial Police Office and Police Regional Office 11 confirmed on Sunday, the 13th of July, that patrolwoman Kay Romando Dumasig was preparing for an anti-narcotics operation when the incident happened last Friday, the 11th of July. Initial reports from her superiors said Dumasig was preparing her gear when her 9mm Jason pistol accidentally fell. She attempted to catch it, but the firearm discharged, fatally hitting her in the head. She was rushed to a nearby hospital but was declared dead on arrival. Davao del Sur Police Director Colonel Leo Agro described Dumasig as a hardworking and dedicated police officer, and said the provincial police will assist in her burial and extend support to her family. A barangay chairman was arrested on Sunday, the 13th of July, after allegedly firing his gun during a clearing operation conducted by local authorities in Tondo, Manila. According to the Manila Police District, the incident occurred around 10 am during a coordinated clearing effort aimed at removing illegal structures and obstructions along a major roadway in the barangay. The operation was led by city personnel, accompanied by local police and barangay officials. Tension reportedly escalated when the barangay chairman allegedly pulled out a firearm and fired several shots into the air in an apparent attempt to disperse the crowd and halt the ongoing clearing operation. MPD personnel placed him under arrest. No injuries were reported, but the incident caused panic among residents and disrupted the operation. The barangay chairman is currently under police custody and faces multiple charges, including illegal discharge of a firearm and possible administrative complaints for misconduct in office. A police officer has undergone inquest proceedings for various complaints after he allegedly fired a gun and terrorized his neighbors in Lucena, Quezon Province last Saturday. According to Mary's Umali's report in 24 Horas on Monday, investigation showed that the suspect, identified as patrolman Rodolfo Avila Madlangawa, was drunk while buying ice from a sari-sari store, but he suddenly threatened and pointed a gun at the customers after him. Madlangawa, a cop based in the town of Lopez, can be seen in CCTV footage threatening someone inside the store. "Do you want me to kill you?" His sibling turned him over to the police following the incident and is now detained at the Lucena custodial facility. He got drunk and was not able to control himself. "This is really unforgivable," as said by our chief PNP, "and this kind of policeman should no longer stay in service," said PNP spokesperson Police Brigadier General Jean Fajardo. Madlangawa is facing complaints of grave threats, unjust vexation, slight physical injury, illegal discharge of firearms, and alarms and scandal, according to Lucena City Police Chief Lieutenant Colonel Dennis de Guzman. He has been disarmed and will also face administrative charges. The report added, "Our chief PNP wants to subject him to summary dismissal proceeding to hasten his dismissal from the service," said Faha, though Madlang Awa declined to give a comment on the matter. Meanwhile, GMA Integrated News is trying to reach out to the complainants. A whistleblower on Monday linked a retired police general and 2 active police colonels to the disappearance of 34 Sabungeras cockfighting aficionados, after filing complaints against 12 policemen for possible administrative liability. Julie Dondon Patadongan, joined by relatives of the Sabungeras, filed the complaints against 12 policemen at the National Police Commission office. The 12 were among 15 active, retired and dismissed policemen whom Patadongan had linked to the case of the cockfighting enthusiasts who he said were abducted and strangled to death before their bodies were dumped in Tal Lake in 2021 and 2022. The 15 had been restricted to Camp Crame following Patadongan's expose on the case. Nepolcom did not release his complaint affidavit, but Patadongan identified 2 of the 12 policemen in his complaint in an interview with reporters. The Inquirer, however, is withholding their identities until Nepolcom releases Patadongan's affidavit and once the police officials issue their official statements. Pressed if there were other higher-ranking officers involved in the case, Patadongan mentioned a retired police general in southern Luzon. The Inquirer is also withholding the name of this official. They were the individuals tasked to kill people during the war on drugs before. That's it, Patadongan told reporters at the Nepolcom office. Patadongan, alias Totoy, was referring to then-President Rodrigo Duterte's crackdown on drug suspects that led to his arrest and detention at the International Criminal Court in The Hague, the Netherlands, for crimes against humanity. In television interviews, he had tagged gaming tycoon Charlie Atang and one engineer Salazar as masterminds in the case. Ang had denied the allegations of the retired general. Patadongan said, "He is an alpha member of Pitmaster Group. He was one of the people who urged Mr. Atang to have me killed. He said, 'Boss, kill Dondon Patadongan so your problems will be solved.' They have a monthly payment because they are an alpha member. If someone is an alpha member, that means they received 70 million pesos, but since there are 3 in the group, maybe they shared it," he added. He did not provide other details. At press time on Monday, the Inquirer was still trying to reach the active police officials for comment. The retired police general did not respond to reporters' requests for comment. Philippine National Police Chief General Nicholas Tor III had earlier said that of the 15 restricted to Camp Crame, 11 were active, 1 was retired, and 3 others were dismissed before the controversy broke out. He added that the highest ranked among them was a Lieutenant Colonel. Rafael Vicente Calinizan, Nepolcom Vice Chair, said he had yet to review Patadongan's complaint. If ever administrative charges will be filed against the 12 respondents, it will be for grave misconduct and conduct unbecoming of an officer, he added. Patadongan is among 6 security personnel of the Manila Arena cockpit charged with kidnapping and serious illegal detention in connection with the disappearance of the Sabungeras. State auditors questioned the decision of the Cebu city government to appoint 92 consultants in 2024. The Commission on Audit, in its annual audit report, revealed that consultancy contracts amounting to P19.8 million that the city government entered last year suffered from multiple procedural and documentary deficiencies, raising concerns on compliance with procurement laws. City Hall engaged a total of 122 consultants across various departments, including the Office of the Mayor, Legislative Department, and the Cebu City Medical Hospital. However, upon review of the contracts, amounting to a total of 32.8 million pesos, of which 7.7 million pesos remains unpaid, the auditors uncovered lapses that could render the contracts questionable under the Government Procurement Reform Act, Republic Act No. 9184. Among the key findings auditors reported were the hiring of 2 consultants for roles unrelated to their professional background or expertise. They also flagged the decision of the city government to appoint 14 consultants for vague and generic responsibilities such as planning and coordination. The city spent 3,896,621 pesos for the hiring of these 14 consultants alone. These functions, according to COA, could be performed by regular employees. Furthermore, they pointed out that 12 more consultants apparently did not perform work that met the standards of highly technical or policy determining services. Another consultant's task also overlapped with the city protocol office, leading to redundancy and unnecessary expense. COA also questioned why 87 contracts, worth over P17.3 million, were signed after the services had already started, with 2.8 million pesos paid despite the absence of legally binding agreements at the time. The timing of the contract signing is crucial for the contract's effectivity as it marks the point at which the contract becomes legally binding, auditors explained. COA warned that such practices violate the principles of transparency, accountability, and proper documentation in government procurement. Services rendered without perfected contracts may not legally obligate the city to pay, they explained. The city government, in response, defended some decisions, citing the urgency of services. Additionally, the Bids and Awards Committee committed to streamline the hiring of consultants in the future. They vowed to review the qualifications and terms of the cited contracts, seek clarifications from end-user departments, and possibly issue amendments or terminate unjustified consultancy engagements. Nevertheless, COA reiterated that while the value of consultancy work is acknowledged, all engagements must strictly comply with procurement rules to protect public funds from irregularities. A drunken policeman faces criminal and administrative complaints after he was arrested for threatening persons and firing his service firearm in a sari-sari store in Lucena City. An incident caught on surveillance camera and went viral over the weekend. The police regional office Calabarzon headed by Police Brigadier General Jack Wonky condemned the incident as it caused fear and danger to the people. The policeman, with a rank of patrolman, was assigned to the Lopez Municipal Police Station and faces complaints of grave threats, unjust vexation, physical injury, illegal discharge of firearms, and administrative misconduct, including conduct unbecoming of a police officer, which could lead to dismissal from the service. Investigation said the 30-year-old police officer went to a store to buy ice under the influence of liquor. The policeman pointed his gun to a person inside the store and a teenager buying a cigarette. He also threatened his lover and hit her with a gun. Residents pacified the suspect and was surrendered to authorities with the help of his brother, also a policeman. Quezon Police Director Police Colonel Romulo Albacio assured persons that the suspect will be held accountable. Wonky commended the Lucena City Police Station for quickly arresting the suspect. The gun was recovered from the suspect. "I want to let everyone know that no one is above the law, regardless of rank or position," Wonky said. Albacio said the suspect in the custody of the Lucena City Police and assured that as the Quezon Police Director, he will be punished and dismissed from the service. This kind of behavior is not tolerated in the police organization. There is no room in the Quezon PPO for any uniformed personnel who would abuse the power entrusted to them. Anyone who violates it will be punished, Albacio added. A 24-year-old Sangguniang Kabataan councillor was charged with murder on Monday, the 14th of July, 4 days after his alleged involvement in a random shooting spree that killed one person and wounded two others in Salay City, Negros Occidental on the 10th of July. Police Lieutenant Colonel Mark Anthony De Roca, Salay Police Chief, said the complaint was filed before the city prosecutor's office against RR, a resident of Barangay Canlasong, EB Magalona, Negros Occidental. De Roca said that cases of frustrated murder will also be filed against the suspect upon the release of the medical abstract of the two other victims. RR surrendered to authorities through the help of his family on Friday night, the 11th of July. He was identified by the police as the driver of a motorcycle driven by his accomplice and gunman. However, the gunman, identified as 34-year-old Mark, a resident of Cadiz City, Negros Occidental, was neutralized in a buy-bust operation in Barangay Burgos, Cadiz City on the 11th of July. He was tagged by police as a noted drug personality in the city. The shooting incidents in Barangays Launted and Rizal claimed the life of a 52-year-old electric bike driver, who passed away in a hospital 2 days after. A security guard and an amusement park employee were wounded and recuperating in separate hospitals. RR said that he had no idea about Mark's plans and apologized for the incident. The Supreme Court has dismissed a court sheriff in Cavite province after finding him guilty of accepting a bribe in connection with a drug case. In a per curiam decision dated the 9th of July, the Supreme Court and Bank ordered the dismissal of Dwight Aldwin Geronimo, Sheriff IV of the Imus City Regional Trial Court Branch 21, and revoked all his retirement benefits. The High Tribunal also permanently banned him from holding any position in government service. A full copy of the decision has not yet been made public. According to a news release from the Supreme Court office of the spokesperson on Wednesday, complainant Antolin Dones Gonzalez said Geronimo asked her for 200,000 pesos in exchange for helping fast-track the drug case of her friend. Monib Saduning Amatanding. Geronimo allegedly promised that Monib would be granted bail, claiming that the judge handling the case was his aunt. Article continues. After this advertisement, Gonzalez initially paid Geronimo 115,000 pesos, with the remaining amount to be given after Monib's case was settled. But when the bail was denied, Geronimo subsequently disappeared, blocked Gonzalez on Facebook, and changed his phone number. Geronimo presented inconsistent defenses. First, he said the money was a personal loan, and then later, he alleged he was pretending to go along with Gonzalez to expose alleged corruption in the court. The Judicial Integrity Board found Geronimo guilty of gross misconduct and recommended his dismissal. The Supreme Court affirmed this ruling. It cited Sections 1 and 2, Canon 1 of the Code of Conduct for Court Personnel, which indicate that court personnel should not use their position for personal gain and that they are not allowed to accept gifts that could influence their official actions. The SC stressed that court employees should never take money from litigants for any reason. Such actions are considered gross misconduct, defined as unlawful behavior or gross negligence by a public officer coupled with elements of corruption, or willful intent to violate the law or disregard established rules. The SC office of the spokesperson said, while Geronimo admitted to receiving money from Gonzalez as a personal loan, the Supreme Court ruled that it still violated Section 2 of the Code of Conduct, as accepting money from someone with a pending case is prohibited, rendering his explanation irrelevant. The court also noted that message exchanges between the two, which Geronimo did not deny sending, supported the claim that the money was connected to a pending case. Given the gravity of his actions and his previous record of misconduct, the High Court imposed the ultimate penalty of dismissal. It also reminded all court employees to serve as role models of responsibility, competence, and efficiency. They are expected to do their jobs with the highest level of care as officers of the court and agents of the law, it said. The Commission on Elections has cancelled the candidacy of President Roxas Town, Capiz Province Mayor Arcelis Tanoy Escalin 2 weeks after his fourth term started. The Comelec 1st Division said Escalin violated the 3-term rule when he filed his certificate of candidacy last October for the elections. He was fully aware that he had served 3 consecutive terms as mayor of President Roxas, Capiz, yet he nonetheless declared in his COC to run for the same position. The Comelec 1st Division stated in a resolution dated the 14th of July, 2025. This declaration constitutes a material misrepresentation, in clear violation of the 3-term limit rule, said Comelec 1st Division Presiding Commissioner Amy Ferrolino, as well as Commissioners Ernesto Ferdinand Masada Jr. and Maria Nora Natangero Casingal in a 22-page decision. The Comelec 1st Division issued the resolution to cancel Escalin's COC after Comelec Capiz proclaimed him as the winner in the subsequent start of his 4th term last the 30th of June. In a Facebook Live address, Escalin said he will file a motion for reconsideration. Escalin has been claiming that he ran and won his 4th term because his 9-year term was interrupted when the Office of the Ombudsman suspended him for a period of 3 months from February to the 20th of May 24. Under the Omnibus Election Code and the Local Government Code, local officials in a particular elective position are limited to 3 terms or 9 consecutive years in office. They are not allowed to serve a 4th consecutive term. A massive manhunt is underway for assailants who ambushed and killed a municipal engineer, which also wounded another person here Wednesday night, police reported Thursday. Engineer Shedarif Malang, municipal engineer of adjacent Sheriff Sedona Mustafa town, was pronounced dead on arrival at the Maguindanao Provincial Hospital. The ambush occurred around 6:15 p.m. in Barangay Timbangan, Sheriff Agwak. Police Colonel Sultan Salman Sapal, Provincial Police Director, said Malang was driving a black pickup truck with 3 other passengers, heading to Sheriff Agwak from Sheriff Sedona Mustafa town, when the attack happened. Despite his injuries, Malang managed to drive the vehicle further until they reached a paramilitary detachment to seek help. Responding militiamen rushed them to a hospital, Sapal said. He added that one of Malang's companions sustained injuries, while 2 others were unharmed. The motive for the ambush remains unknown, and the identities of the attackers are still being determined. That's all for this week. I'll see you next Friday with more stories of corruption and foolishness within the Philippine government.